Tuesday's weekly patch, patch 1.12, has been met with a pretty middling reception, and on paper that's kind of strange, because this patch actually fixes some serious issues. Most notably, it finally addresses the very damaging exploits on Stella Montis, where players were able to get out of bounds and kill raiders from outside of the map. It also fixes some cases where players could shoot and kill other raiders through geometry, which is obviously not something you ever want in a game like ARCRAIDERS. On top of that, we got fixes for both an ammo duplication exploit and an item duplication exploit. So from a purely technical standpoint, this is a solid patch. There are fixes the game absolutely needed. We also got the usual weekly store rotation, meaning there's a new cosmetic set to spend your money on. This week it's the Fiero set, which comes with some makeup, an emote, and an outfit with the usual color variations and customization options. You can grab the full set for 1300 Raider tokens or just the outfit itself for 1000. Honestly, it's a cool outfit, thumbs up from me. So then the question becomes, if this patch fixes the real problems, why was the reception so lukewarm? Why did this patch turn into such a big talking point? To understand that, we need to look at what happened just before this patch. The Cold Snap event ended just over a week ago, on January the 13th. With the end of that event, Embark also decided to remove the newly introduced Snowfall map condition from rotation. At first, this seemed fine. A lot of players, myself included, assumed this meant Embark was gearing up to talk about what they were working on next, especially headed into 2026. But as of right now, all we really have are vague statements about design philosophy and long-term goals. We know Embark is working on it, but they're being extremely tight-lipped about what that actually means in practice. This is where expectations started to clash with reality. Leading up to this weekly patch, there were strong rumors that a new map condition was coming. Using the time travel method, players were able to see references to a toxic swamp map condition that appeared to be scheduled for this week. That information spread quickly across forums, Discord, and even news outlets. Naturally, people got excited. Then, as we got closer to the weekly reset, things quietly changed. Players noticed that the Deliver Thermal Rocks trials had disappeared and was replaced with Deal Damage to Flying Arc Enemies. When the patch actually went live, there was no Toxic Swamp, no new map condition at all. For a lot of players, myself included, that was disappointing, and that disappointment turned into criticism on the official Discord. One user summed it up pretty well by saying that the community isn't just asking for content, but at least some communication. The community lead responded with, "Totally understand, we are definitely working on it and will share as soon as we can." So what's really the issue here? Why can't we just sit back and be patient? The answer, in my opinion, comes down to how the rotation system currently works. If you're like me, and like a lot of other players, you probably play around the same hours most days. Because of that, you tend to see the same map conditions over and over again. Night Raid is the big one, and occasionally you might see a Queen or Matriarch event. But many of the other conditions feel incredibly rare. When Snowfall was in rotation, that changed things in a noticeable way. We had Night Raid, Snowfall, and usually one or two additional events active on the world map at the same time. That meant there were more concurrent conditions, and therefore a much higher chance that you'd actually see something different during your normal play window. Since Snowfall was removed, that variety has basically collapsed. I played a few games this morning at a time I usually don't play, and I saw an electromagnetic storm for the first time in a long time. That alone kind of proves the point. So when players hear about a new map condition like Toxic Swamp, it's not just about wanting new content for the sake of it. It's about wanting more variety, more consistency, and more reasons to log in without feeling like you're playing the exact same version of the game every session. This is why the soon trademark messaging doesn't land very well right now. Embark is fully aware of the hype that built up around Toxic Swamp and the disappointment that followed when it didn't show up. Saying we'll share more when we can might be technically true, but it doesn't really address the underlying frustration. To summarize where we're at, Cold Snap ends, Snowfall gets removed, the game effectively snaps back to its base state rotation. Evidence of a new map condition exists and spreads quickly. That map condition doesn't arrive on Monday's reset or Tuesday's patch. The community gets upset, and the response is that more information is coming soon. On top of all of this, ARCRAIDERS is heading into a very competitive period. Marathon, its biggest competitor in the PvPvE space, is launching in about 2 months. A lot of players who are hungry for PvP are at least going to try Bungie's next big game, and ARCRAIDERS is already struggling when it comes to clearly appealing to both PvE and PvP players. So in many ways, this feels like an identity problem, not just a content problem. Personally, I don't think the community is completely overreacting, but I also don't think Embark is being malicious or incompetent. There's truth to both sides. The fixes in patch 1.12 were necessary, and the game is better off for them, but communication, expectations, and rotation variety matter just as much as bug fixes, especially during quieter periods. Right now, ARCRAIDERS doesn't need massive content drops every week. What it really needs is clearer communication, better use of its rotation system, and something concrete for players to look forward to. But that's just my take. I'm genuinely curious, what do you think? Is the community being impatient, or is this frustration justified given the circumstances? Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care of each other when going topside, and happy raiding.